Yo, it's Crackle Pterodactyl. Today, we're going to take a look at Dreamstar Toys' Mixmaster. But before we do, I did want to showcase that this dude, Bone Crusher, has not been reviewed yet, and we are definitely going to give him his dues. He looks incredible, by the way. Look at those thrusters back there. And his shovel pushy thing, pushy, I said pushy. Pushy thing is on the inside of his calf, but he looks magnificent. And we also have not reviewed Big Man over here, Mr. Long Haul. Dude, when did Long Haul become the de facto big man on the team? Because in G1, he wasn't like huge, right? Is it like Combiner Wars? Dude, I'm having like difficulty reaching back there. I think it was Combiner Wars, right? When he became big dude. And we seen Hook already. I reviewed this guy some time ago. Really, really nice toy, by the way. Love these kind of, I don't know if they're full rubber or something like that, but they're kind of rubber-y. And then, of course, we have a Scrapper, my favorite actually on the team. He looks really nice. You know what I was going to say? He actually has a lot of metal about him. He's quite heavy, and I'm rather surprised that Mixmaster does not have the same amount of metal distribution on him. I'm actually quite surprised that Hook has so much metal on him, but at the same time, perhaps because it's all centralized over here and these are the shoulder connectors, it might be because they need to bear weight, and that's why they've kind of loaded him with all of that. But at the same time, it does make me kind of question having so much weight up top, right? He is incredibly hollow, Bone Crusher, and of course, that's naturally like that just because he's going to be an arm and you don't want it sagging. And so I get it. And I think Scavenger is going to be the same way. Anyway, let's focus on Homeboy because it's his birthday today. It totally is, he told me. So let's focus on this guy. I'm going to move these guys away and let's get to it, Druid. All right, so now with that station identification out of the way, let's talk about him. So sculpt-wise, look at that face, dude. He's super duper cool. I really, really like the aesthetic design on these guys. They are ultra stylized. And look at this portion, right? Normally this would be Mixmaster's foot, but you can see that it is a backpack. And it does a decent job collapsing, but it does kind of tickle my brain a little bit in terms of how this is how it works. The order of operations does kind of flummox me a little bit, but whatever we do, we can move past it. The thighs, super duper chunk. I like that. They kind of resemble Blocky's toys, you know what I mean? But this is the big change over here in that his mixer drum is now a part of his calf. That is crazy. And all the stuff over here in terms of the additional scaffolding for the vehicle are kind of hidden back over here. And we'll reveal all of that in a second. The toes, this portion I believe is the only metallic piece. Or is it this part? Yeah, it might be the underside. But anyway, there's very limited metal on this guy, which again is a little bit weird because Scrapper has so much metal about him. Overall, he's a pretty good toy, but there are some like limitations. For instance, in terms of articulation, yes, he does all the basic stuff and nice ratchets. I mean, you can hear it, right? This over here, even though he does have a double joint on the elbow, this thing kind of impedes this thing from like really kind of moving up. So you can get a 90 and a little bit more than that. But overall, unless you're trying to open this piece, which you can do, you're not going to be able to get it up further. And so I would say that is a bit of a bummer. But because I'm so used to like these toys having just like excellent mobility and posability and articulation and whatnot. So sure, we can dock him a couple of points for that. And this guy, compared to all the other guys, he has some alignment issues. Like one of the things is this thing over here, it doesn't, and the instructions are not really forthcoming with all of this information in that. See how there's this spinny thing over here? If you lift this up, you can see that there is a separate wheel underneath, the separate disc that rotates independently. Oh, focus, my friend. That independently rotates on this. So you're not rotating this, you're actually rotating this against that black piece. And without doing that, you're not going to be able to get the proper alignment that you need to in order to lock everything in place. He does have proper locking mechanisms. You can see that they're evident over here, evident here, evident there. They're all over. And for what it's worth, it does a good job when you can like align everything. But getting that alignment is somewhat of a pain in the keister meester. And yeah. I will say the Dreamstar stuff hasn't necessarily been the most intuitive. And for this guy, rather than me just kind of narrate, or excuse me, rather than me transforming in real time, I may have to do a cutaway and rely on some of the instructions and then do a voiceover afterward. And that's fine and all, but I mean, generally, I do like just kind of talking while I go over the transformation. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So his blaster, I believe, based on what I've seen so far, I think they're going to combine into a giant blaster because you can see there's a port up here, there's a post over here, another port over here, and this thing up here in front, right? You know what I mean? So it definitely is some type of giveaway. And this is interesting, his little hammer type thing. Um, while it is cool that it does look like this, I would have much preferred it and they just put a hole right there so that it could sit like that, so that it could be a proper mallet. You know what I mean? That would have been like way cooler, but whatever, dude. And this, you can either just store it on his arm right there and have it as this, I don't know, man, the stick. Or you can plug it in there and have it as an extendo blaster, which I think is cool. I think that's a nice look. And these things actually, I mean, I get it. They wanted to introduce this additional play pattern, and sure, I can be appreciative of that. But they actually store back here, and they form the front of the mixing barrel. And so you can just leave them on as you transform it. And you know what I'm talking about, right? At the front of the mixing barrel, there's like this little nub-looking thing, a cylindrical-looking thing. That's what this thing is going to become. And you can see that there's like hinges and stuff like that right over here. But yeah, I mean, overall, he's pretty good. This all moves up, and then, yeah, it does this. But due to the amount of kibble and stuff, he's not going to get into any crazy like Spider-Man poses and stuff like that. But for what it's worth, yeah, I think they did. I think they've done a good enough job. They even included like a crunch as best as they can. And there's a tilt and a rotation over here, so not bad. And the head's on a ball joint. And this is all fine. I do appreciate the ratchets. You can hear that there's actually a lot of teeth in there. And so you can get them into different positions. It's not just going to be, what is it, angles and positions that are so far apart from one another. And so I think that's chill. And overall, I think he's a good bot. The one thing I was going to say about them is like, dude, they really have long thumbs. That's one of the that's one of the telltale features of this. And that, like, dude, my man's thumb goes to the front of his. Oh, I guess my thumb does that too. All right, man, I take that back. I was trying to shame him for having long thumbs, but yeah, I will say the not the tolerance, the spacing. The spacing is a bit finicky. This thing has to get inside here, and it's not just going to be smooth. You're just almost going to have to force it, and you're going to see some of the plastic kind of flex. And at first, when I first did it, it was a bit uncomfortable, and I was a bit scared, but whatever. I've transformed him several times now at this point, and I'm okay with it. Yeah. But yeah, he got this rich, deep cherry, kind of jewel purple over here, and this really, really beautiful, rich, dark, kind of pine green. And it's not the type of green that we're used to seeing with Devastator. Devastator's kind of been this like yellow green. And I was kind of doubtful initially when I saw the G1 colors like that. But when I went to Japan, or not Japan, when I went to the Netherlands, I saw that there were vehicles that were actually the G1 Constructicon colors. And I thought that was just uber duper nice. But anyway, we've talked about him at length, and I've shown you some of his posability and stuff like that. And so, oh, he does have tilt and stuff over here, but again, just so much kibble and stuff like that. So yeah, for what it's worth, again, he's not going to get into your Circus du Soleil Spider-Man poses, but good enough for me. Anyway, let's get him into his truck mode and also his leg mode, and that will be the video, so hang tight. All right, let's get him transformed, and oh my goodness, I can feel the knots in my stomach. I'm starting to feel anxious already. Dude, it took so long to get this in place, and you're like, why? It looks so simple, and I know. But I'm going to show you right now. So it starts with this part, right? And you can use the fist to kind of push this back, and ideally, if I could have my way, this would just fold up, and you're like, oh, easy enough. But this thing, look. You see how much collision there is? And so you just got to make sure that it closes. And as you're doing this, this plastic is actually flexing out. Like, I don't know if you could see it. You see it, right? And then you just got to get in there and you got to close it. And that's not my favorite, but it's going to get worse. So we're going to open up this part, and those two pieces are going to tab into this, right? That's not bad. It's this thing, the thing that I just mentioned. Took me so long to get this right. So I'm going to use, you see that line right there? Hey, focus, Daniel-san, whatever, dude. that line is what I'm going to use to guide me when I'm orienting this one over here. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to start by bringing the bicep back, and then we're going to bring that forward. And this, when aligned properly, those teeth will plug into the top of that shoulder there. But like I said, all of this has to align perfectly. So using that line as a guide, got to find it first. Okay. Now we're going to get that line, and it's kind of going to branch off from that corner. And it appears to be identical over there. Dude, what is up with the focus hocus? And so, okay. And now you see that little button, that little post, it has to go in there. And so you're trying to make sure that this is aligned, and it's not right now. Okay. And then this is going to get aligned, but you're not tabbing it fully in place. You're just doing the alignment. Now we can bring this, we can, I almost got it. Almost got it. Yeah. You see what I mean? This is, you got to get it to compress because it has to sit all in there. But, okay, sorry. I got to rotate this thing. All right, now I think it's good. Now I think it's good. Come on. Come on. Okay, we got it. Oh, and then now you got to make sure this is locked in. Okay. Ooh. Honestly, that should not take so much effort. And the instructions don't tell you about this inner circle. And so the first time I did this, I was just rotating this in circles, just trying to figure out, why is this not working? Why is this not working? Why is it not working? It's such a pain in the butt. But let me clear my brain really quick. I need to kind of clear my cache, my mental stack, and then we will continue. Whew. All right. Sorry, I had to walk around the living room for a bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull out these arms over here, like that, like that. And you can see that there are locking mechanisms. There are 2 ports in there, and there's a port over here, and there are these posts. Then after that, we're going to bring this forward, and this is actually locked into this piece right now, like that. And yo, it's crazy ways. Even look at that. These pieces left and right, it's going to actually secure the neck piece down when we're getting him into the leg mode. And so after we've done that, we will kind of bring this back. This part still confuses me. And my North Star over here is that you see how there's these 2 ports over here? That has to be able to plug in there, and that's gonna allow this to sit flush. But yeah, so very confusing, very confusing. And now that now that we've done that, we are going to bring this together. And then we're going to close this back up again. These arms do not tab in anywhere right now. They're just kind of chilling, and you got to bring it as close together as you can, like that. And I believe we're doing everything right at this point. Yeah. And then, what you got to do is you got to bring these back, and you see there's a post and there is a port right there. You got to get that to go in. And I can appreciate things like that. There's a lot of locking mechanisms, but unfortunately, the alignment is really the issue. It's like, I get it, bro, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But getting that alignment to go all in there, that is a bit nightmare-ish. Let me make sure that I can secure this all back. There we go. There we go. So cool. So far, so good, right? And then from here, we're going to start opening this bit up. This bit was always kind of confusing for me. And I think I got to open this section first before I open that. But one of the things about this is that there are some sequences that are out of order. They skip it, or they don't mention it at all, or things are out of order, and it's quite frustrating. Okay, so this thing over here is, you're going to untap this, and it's on 2 locking mechanisms. You're going to bring that down, and you're going to rotate that. You're going to do that. By the way, some of you guys have been asking, hey, when are you going to talk more about the Blockies trip? When I do a Blockies video, which will be the next one after this, I'm not going to go to Bone Crusher or Long Haul right away. I'm going to do a Blockies video. We'll talk a little bit about that. Sorry, sounding super redundant there. Okay, now that we've done that, this whole thing, we're going to lift and bring forward so that this goes in here and this goes in here. And again, making sure that everything is flush, doing yourself a favor by making sure everything stays in place, because again, alignment is super duper key with this thing. And once you get that in the proper position, you're going to take this and then you're going to bring that down. Again, I can really appreciate the locking mechanism, because as someone like me with a little bit of screws loose in my head, it's important for me to get this all right and find security in things that I can rely on. Otherwise, my brain just can't hold all these things together. And speaking of brain, I need to go clear my cache again. 1 second, please. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. And I mean, for you, it's just literally the next second, but for me, it's several minutes. And so we're gonna bring this forward, and this is meant to plug in here, but man, I can never get it to fully align like that. It's meant to, but it doesn't necessarily do the job. I don't know, man. It could be me. So we're going to get this and we're going to turn that around. And as we bring this back, this green thing you see right there, that's going to tab in like that. And again, I really do appreciate all the locking mechanisms. Just got to make sure we get the alignment right. We're going to bring these up. Maybe we could do that later. But okay. And then from here, I believe if we've done everything right, we can bring this out and it will lock in place. Oh, it did. Oh, it did. Oh, super stoked. Cool. Cool. But I do wish it was lined a little bit better. But you know what? It's behaving, for what it's worth, it's behaving much better right now. Cool. And this section. You see those two little cylinders here? Those are going to tab in, or those are going to plug into those ports. And so you do need to make sure that the waist is bent all the way back. And then you can, you know what? I can't see. Cool, there we go. There we go. Now that's in there. Now we can push this all in, and this will close up. Woo, like that. Hey, it's working, it's working. And then we can bring this stuff up, and we're almost getting there. So this piece over here, how does this work? Oh yeah, we do have to spin this around, and I think I may have kind of skipped a step, or it was out of place, not my fault. And then we're going to move that back, and then we're going to move these up. These absolutely do not need to be removed, but like I said, I just kind of flummoxed something, or I don't know, or the instructions messed me up. I don't want to take blame. Claim responsibility for it. Yeah, these are meant to stay in there. You don't have to pull them out. And like I said earlier, they are going to form that cylindrical piece that sits at the front of the mixer. And this is going to actually tab into the front over here. So this section, this is one of the areas where the instructions, again, just kind of skip over stuff. They ask you to pull this forward. You can't. It's actually plugged in here. You have to open this up first. And opening this up, it's not smooth necessarily. Like if you were to try to close this, like you almost have to flex it a little. And I know these guys are smart, and I know they've done their measurements right, but for some reason, this one meaning Mixmaster, is the most finicky among all of them. And so after you open that up, you can bring, oh snap, that thing fell down, hold up. So this thing is supposed to be plugged in, but I don't like plugging it in, but let me adjust this, lol. All right, you gotta admit that was pretty hilarious actually. And I should really be fastening this thing, because you see all these holes over here, they're meant to actually lock in place, but it's kind of difficult and it's a bit annoying. And so normally I don't have any issues with it, but as you saw, the whole Leaning Tower of Pisa thing, yeah, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. But okay, cool. This thing, I forgot where I left off actually, but I'll pretend it's right here. So you got to open this bit up. You got to bring this out, and there's a double hinge. And you're going to bring this up, and you're going to rotate this around. And by the way, this section over here is my least favorite part of the transformation. I detest it. But one step at a time, one step at a time. So we're going to, once again, open this bit up, and you can see that plugs in there. And then bring this section forward so that you can give this clearance. You can bring that out. I'm going to bring this up on that double hinge. And you will spin it around, and ultimately what's going to happen is that little port is going to plug in like that. Oh, you know what? Got to make sure to open this stuff up because that's going to fasten the mixing barrel. I may have said that. I kind of lost track because I had to step away for a second. Cool. You can do all of that. Okay. So my least favorite part. Oh, I don't think we did this yet. You got to open this up, flip this out, and it's going to be like that. Cool. My least favorite part. And why it's my least favorite part is like, dude, it's so contrary to the design philosophy. This whole time I've been talking about locking mechanisms here and there, talking about how I appreciate it and stuff like that. This section just hangs, man. It's really unfortunate the way it's designed. And I'm not a huge fan of that. And that's putting it lightly. So you got to pop this off. Then you can grab the toe and got to yank this part out. But when you yank this part out, you got to make sure that this fully stays seated over here, because you're going to run into alignment issues if you don't do that. So once again, you have to get the spudger in there, grab the toe, and yank that bad boy out. And then make sure you press that guy back in, because alignment issues, I'll be repeating that probably over and over throughout the video. And then cool, once we got that done, I mean, we're almost at the end, but really this is the most cumbersome part of the transformation. Now we're going to undo the knees, and we're going to bring this all down. One more time, we're going to undo the knees, and of course you want to make sure that the legs are straight, and you can see these are coming undone. These have to come together, and I'm going to attempt to actually fasten the legs first. And you can see there's a pivot over here because that's going to be used for the leg mode. And I don't think I'm going to transform this into his leg mode. If you want to see it, I've already done it on the YouTube Shorts area. And I'll save the leg mode transformation for the video where we combine him into Devastator. Okay, so we can kind of bring that down. What I dislike about this is that it just hangs. Like I'm not exaggerating. It doesn't fasten. Well, I mean, it does fasten in one area, but the majority of it, it just chills, dude. Like, I don't know if this is supposed to fasten there. Maybe it is. You know what? Maybe I just discovered that right now, and that will stop me from crying. Okay, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. And then from here, we're gonna make sure all this lines up. All right, you know what? It's not as bad. So we got to get that in there. And we'll fix this. We'll fix this section up at the end. But for now, let's just kind of focus on this. And you want to close the mixing barrel up without collapsing the legs, without untabbing all this other stuff. And then we could try to get this. It's actually working out much better than it normally would, because I typically end up being a crybaby when this stuff doesn't work out. But yeah, see, this one, this is on a double hinge, and so doesn't really want to. There we go. Oh, thank Primus. Thank Unicron. Thank really Unicron, because he's orange. And so, okay, these came untapped again. Oh, man. Okay. Come on, guys. So the toes, you will need to bend forward. Maybe I should have done that earlier. But what's going to happen is there is this little lip. Those two little grooves will plug in to the lip of the mixing barrel, that little area right there. And you can fasten it as best you can, and then try to fasten these things. Nah, it's not working, dude. All right. Yeah, see, it's all just kind of coming apart, and it's starting to really bleep, bleep, bleep. This will fasten in there, and this will fasten in here, and there's a dovetail tab back here. But dude, getting this to all align is a pain in the, you know. But yeah, this is supposed to. I think that's best as I'm gonna get it. Okay, that one. Okay. Okay. I think we got it. That's better than I've ever had it before, but I really, really dislike this emptiness over here, man. I really, really, really dislike that. I'm just wondering, like, can I? Because if I bring it up, like, I feel like I could bring it up a little bit more, but if I do that, all right, I'm going to try at the end. I'm going to try at the end. I'm going to just try to fasten all of this right now, and I think we're done here. And we're just going to orient the ladders so they're sitting in the right place. I'm going to try at the end, but I think it's meant to be like that. And then now we can revisit the front over here. And then you're going to prepare to lift this out. And then you're going to lift this, tuck it under here, and then tab that and like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then this hopefully is fully aligned. Hey, it worked. It worked. It worked. Trust me, this is the best it's ever done. It's behaving very well, and I can appreciate it for that. One more time, we'll kind of tuck that under. I don't like how crunchy that is. I wish it was smoother, but this is really bothering me. So let's pretend that we're done. Let's pretend that we try to fix this up. And so, oh, and then you can get this bit, and you can plug that in there. I think it's just like that. And then this bit, you can get to sit down there. Align that a little bit better. Yeah, that's decent. That's okay. And this is the thing that I was talking about earlier. This thing doesn't really like to sit in there. Okay. Tires. They don't move that well. That upsets me. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But these two front ones, nah, they're not. I don't know what's impeding this, but this one just doesn't like to turn. Maybe if I undo the screw a little bit, but I feel like I shouldn't have to put in all this extra elbow grease to get that to work. You know what I mean? And so that is a little bit troubling. But pretty much this is a truck mode, and I'm not going to put it into leg mode, but I do want to try to attempt to fix this. So let's try one more time. So we're going to undo this. And I'm just wondering, can I get this to sit deeper? Potentially. I think I can actually. Or not. And don't worry, that's not the toy breaking or anything like that. Okay. That's a little bit better, but now none of this stuff is fastening in place. And I'm wondering if this will still... Oh God, I am happier about the fact that we did kind of manage to close the gap. But even though this doesn't tab in anymore. And so this dovetail, come on. Okay. That's as best as I could do it. That's still really horrendous. I don't like that. I don't like that in the least bit. And I get it because they wanted to include this in the leg, but when I look at this, man, I think this is just really ugly, dude. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion. I can dig most of it, and I can give most of it a pass, but yeah, I'm pretty displeased with how that back portion looks. I think it's just very, very messy. feels like juvenile engineering, and I'm a bit disappointed because I expect more out of this group, especially from what I've seen from their other bots. And so if we think about the bot mode, out of 10, I'll give it at least a 7.5. But this thing here, this is like a 5 or a 6 or something like that. I'm just not terribly pleased. But whatever, dude. I'm really gonna just try to think about like the sum of the parts and think about Devastator and how that works. And once again, if you would like to see how the leg is transformed, go ahead and check out the short. You can see it there, or you can wait till the long form video where we compose Devastator. But for now, I think for me, for you, and for this ugly gap over here where I could just stick my entire finger in, yuck, I'm gonna bid you adieu right now. And I'm gonna catch you in the next one, okay? Thanks for being here, and I appreciate you sitting with me. This has been a wild one. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye-bye.